My daughter comes to clean my house every Sunday morning at exactly 9 a.m. She brings fresh flowers, organizes my closets, and always asks the same question before she leaves. Dad, have you thought about updating your will? Last Sunday, I pretended to take my afternoon nap early. What I overheard from my bedroom changed everything I thought I knew about my own family. If you're listening to this right now, let me know what time it is and where you are, because after hearing my story, you might want to check on the people you trust most. The Texas sun was brutal that October morning, beating down on my little ranch house outside of Austin like it had something personal against me. I'm 68 years old, and I've lived in this house for 41 years. My wife Patricia built the garden out back with her own hands. She planted those pecan trees when our daughter Melissa was just a baby. Now Patricia's been gone 3 years, and those trees are taller than the house. Melissa's car pulled into the driveway at 8:57 a.m. She was always early, always precise. I watched her through the kitchen window as she gathered her cleaning supplies from the trunk, her designer sunglasses catching the morning light. Her husband Derek stayed in the car, scrolling through his phone like he always did. Never came inside anymore. Not since the argument about the lake house. Morning, Dad. Melissa breezed through the front door without knocking. She hadn't knocked in months. How are you feeling today? Did you take your blood pressure medication? I'm fine, sweetheart. Same as last week. She was already moving through the living room, her eyes scanning surfaces, opening drawers, checking behind picture frames. She called it cleaning, but I'd started noticing she never actually cleaned anything. I brought you some of that soup you like. She set a container in the refrigerator. And I picked up your prescriptions. The pharmacist said you haven't been refilling on time. I hadn't been refilling because I didn't need the pills she thought I was taking. 6 months ago, I'd switched doctors without telling her. The new physician, Dr. Reyes, had taken me off 3 medications that my previous doctor, Melissa's college friend, had prescribed. Medications I'd never needed in the first place. Dad, have you given any more thought to what we discussed? Melissa was in the hallway now, opening the closet where I kept Patricia's things. The things I couldn't bring myself to throw away. About the will? About the living trust. Derek's been researching it, and he says it would make things so much easier. For everyone. When the time comes. She'd been saying that phrase a lot lately. I'll think about it, I said. The same answer I'd given for the past 4 months. Something flickered across her face. Frustration. Maybe anger. But it disappeared so quickly I almost thought I'd imagined it. I'm going to organize your bedroom closet today. Why don't you rest? You look tired. I wasn't tired. But I went to my bedroom anyway, closed the door, and waited. That's when I heard her make a phone call. He's being difficult again. Melissa's voice carried through the thin walls. No, he won't sign anything. I don't know what else to do. Derek says we're running out of time. The accountant found another account we didn't know about. Somewhere offshore. Mom must have set it up before she died. My blood turned cold. I know, but we can't force him. Not yet. We need the medical documentation first. Doctor, Hansen said he'd sign off on the cognitive decline. But Dad switched doctors. Some woman named Reyes, who won't return my calls. Cognitive decline. The words hit me like a physical blow. Just keep him calm. Keep him medicated. I'll handle the rest. I sat on the edge of my bed, my hands trembling so badly I had to grip my knees to steady them. My daughter, my only child, the baby I'd held in my arms 42 years ago, was planning something. Something that involved medication, doctors, and my money. An offshore account Patricia had set up. Money I knew nothing about. The bedroom door opened without warning. Dad? Are you okay? You look pale. Melissa's face was a mask of concern. The same face that had just been discussing how to handle me. Just tired, I managed. Like you said. She smiled, and for the first time in my life, that smile terrified me. Monday morning, I called the only person I could think of. My brother Samuel lived 3 hours away in Houston, and we hadn't spoken in 2 years. Not since Patricia's funeral, when he'd warned me that something wasn't right with Melissa and Derek. I'd called him paranoid, told him to mind his own business, told him my daughter would never hurt me. Richard. Samuel's voice was cautious when he answered. Is everything okay? I told him everything. The Sunday visits, the medications, the phone call, the offshore account I'd never known existed. Samuel was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, "I've been waiting for this call. There's something I need to show you. Can you get to Houston without Melissa knowing?" I told him I could. "Come alone. And Richard, don't eat or drink anything Melissa brings you. Not until we figure out what's going on." The drive to Houston felt longer than 3 hours. Every mile, I replayed the past 3 years in my mind. Patricia's sudden illness, the rapid decline that didn't match her previous health, the doctors who seemed confused by her symptoms, and Melissa, always there, always helpful, always bringing food and handling the medications. Patricia had died of organ failure. Multiple organ failure, they said. Rare, but not unheard of in someone her age. But Patricia had been healthy. She'd run marathons until she was 60. Never smoked, barely drank. Her mother had lived to 93. Samuel met me at his door with a thick folder in his hands. "Sit down," he said. "This is going to be hard to hear." The folder contained bank statements, emails, and photographs. Samuel had hired a private investigator 6 months after Patricia's funeral, when something a neighbor had said kept nagging at him. "Your neighbor, Mrs. Gutierrez, told me she saw Melissa letting someone into your house late at night, multiple times, during the last months of Patricia's life. A man she didn't recognize. Not Derek." I stared at the photographs. A dark-haired man in an expensive suit, carrying a medical bag, entering my home at 11 p.m. "Who is he?" "His name is Victor Crane. He's not a licensed physician in Texas. He lost his medical license in California 8 years ago for insurance fraud and illegal prescription practices." Samuel's jaw tightened. "Richard, I found emails between Melissa and Crane dating back 4 years, before Patricia even got sick." The room spun. I grabbed the arm of the chair to steady myself. They were planning this. All of it. The emails talk about the inheritance, the timeline, the medication protocol. They were poisoning Patricia slowly, making it look like natural illness. No. The word came out as a whisper. Melissa wouldn't. She loved her mother. Samuel handed me another document, a life insurance policy I'd never seen before, taken out on Patricia 3 years before her death. Beneficiary: Melissa Thornton. Amount: $1.2 million. She collected this 6 months after the funeral. "Richard, your daughter killed her mother for money, and now she's coming after you." I couldn't breathe. The evidence was overwhelming, but my mind refused to accept it. This was my daughter, the little girl who'd cried when we flushed her goldfish, the teenager who'd volunteered at animal shelters, the woman who'd held my hand at Patricia's funeral and promised to take care of me. "There's more," Samuel said quietly. "The offshore account Patricia supposedly set up, it doesn't exist, but there is an account in the Cayman Islands under Derek's name. $2.3 million, transferred from various sources over the past 5 years. Richard, they've been stealing from you, forging Patricia's signature on investment documents, liquidating assets you didn't even know you had." I thought about the past year, the confusion I'd felt about my finances, the bills that didn't make sense, the retirement funds that seemed smaller than they should be. I'd blamed it on grief, on age, on not paying attention since Patricia died. It wasn't grief. It was theft. "What do I do?" My voice sounded like a stranger's. Samuel leaned forward. "We go to the police. Today. Right now." But before I could answer, my phone rang. Melissa's number. "Dad, where are you?" Her voice was tight with barely controlled panic. "Mrs. Gutierrez said she saw you drive away this morning. You know you're not supposed to drive. Your cognitive issues make it dangerous." I had no cognitive issues, but I played along. "I went for a drive. Needed some air. Come home, Dad, please. I'm worried about you. Derek and I are here at the house. We want to make sure you're safe." Samuel was shaking his head violently, mouthing, "Don't go." "I'll be there in a few hours," I said. "Just need to clear my head." The line went dead. "They know something's wrong," Samuel said. "We need to move faster than I planned." He made 3 phone calls, the first to Detective Maria Santos, who Samuel had been working with for the past month building a case. The second to an attorney named James Whitfield, who specialized in elder abuse and financial fraud. The third to someone he wouldn't identify. "There's one more piece of evidence we need," Samuel said. "Patricia left something behind. Something that proves everything. What are you talking about? Before Patricia died, she reached out to me. She knew something was wrong, Richard. She knew someone was making her sick, but she didn't know who. She was confused, weak, couldn't think clearly. But she managed to record conversations, hide documents. She told me she buried something on your property, under the old smokehouse that hasn't been used in 20 years. Patricia had known. She'd tried to protect me even as she was dying. We need to get that evidence before Melissa finds it. That's why she's been searching your house every Sunday. She knows it exists, but she doesn't know where Patricia hid it. I thought about Melissa opening closets, checking behind furniture, going through Patricia's belongings. She wasn't cleaning. She was hunting. The drive back to Austin felt like heading into battle. Samuel insisted on coming with me, along with Detective Santos and her partner, who followed in an unmarked car. The attorney, Whitfield, was coordinating with the DA's office. We arrived at my house just after sunset. Melissa's car was still in the driveway. Derek's BMW was parked behind it, and there was a third vehicle I didn't recognize, a black SUV with California plates. "Crane is here," Samuel said grimly. "The fake doctor." Detective Santos spoke into her radio, calling for backup. "We wait until units arrive. No one goes in alone." But I couldn't wait. Through the window I could see them. Melissa, Derek, and a dark-haired man, tearing apart my living room. Patricia's china cabinet was overturned. Her books scattered across the floor. They weren't even pretending anymore. I slipped around the back of the house while Samuel tried to stop me. The old smokehouse stood in the corner of the property, covered in vines and forgotten for decades. Patricia had always loved that smokehouse. She'd talk about restoring it someday, turning it into a garden shed. I'd never understood her attachment to a crumbling structure we never used. Now I did. The dirt floor was harder to dig than I expected. My hands blistered on the shovel handle, but I didn't stop. 2 feet down, I hit metal. A lockbox. Fireproof, waterproof, with Patricia's initials engraved on the lid. Inside were cassette tapes, a leather journal, and a letter addressed to me. "My darling Richard," the letter began. "If you're reading this, I'm gone, and the people I trusted have betrayed us both. I'm sorry I couldn't tell you while I was alive. I was scared, and the medication they gave me made everything foggy. But I managed to record enough. The tapes have everything. Our daughter is not who you think she is." Footsteps behind me. "Found it, did you?" I turned. Derek stood in the doorway of the smokehouse, his face half-shadowed in the dying light. "Put it down, Richard. That belongs to us now. This belongs to Patricia. To me." Derek stepped closer. In his hand was a syringe. "You know, the original plan was simpler. Wait for you to sign the trust documents, then help you along like we did with Patricia. But you had to get stubborn. You had to switch doctors. You had to start asking questions. You killed my wife." The words came out flat, emotionless. I was beyond grief now, beyond rage. I was in that cold, calm place where survival is the only thing that matters. "Melissa killed her wife," Derek corrected. "I just handled the paperwork and the money. And now I'm going to handle you." He lunged. I swung the shovel. The impact was solid, brutal. Derek crumpled to the dirt floor, the syringe flying from his hand. "Dad," Melissa's voice. "Dad, what did you do?" She appeared in the doorway, her face a mask of horror that might have been convincing if I hadn't heard her phone call, if I hadn't read her emails, if I hadn't held the evidence of her betrayal in my hands. "It's over, Melissa. You don't understand." She was crying now, real tears streaming down her face. "Derek made me do it. All of it. He threatened me. He said he'd hurt you if I didn't cooperate." Behind her, I saw Victor Crane approaching with something in his hand. "She's lying," Samuel's voice rang out. He emerged from the darkness with Detective Santos beside him, weapons drawn. "She's been lying for years." Crane tried to run. He didn't get far. The next few hours were a blur of police lights, handcuffs, and statements. Melissa screamed about lawyers and rights. Derek regained consciousness long enough to blame everything on his wife. Victor Crane said nothing at all, his jaw set in the stubborn silence of a man who'd been through this before. Detective Santos sat with me on my front porch while crime scene technicians documented the destruction inside my home. "The tapes your wife left are remarkable," she said quietly. "She recorded dozens of conversations, Phone calls between Melissa and Derek discussing the plan. Arguments about timing and dosages. Even a conversation where Melissa explicitly says she wants her mother to hurry up and die. I couldn't cry. The grief was too deep for tears. Patricia was brave, Santos continued. Even when she was dying, even when she was confused and scared, she fought to protect you. She knew she couldn't save herself, but she made sure we'd have enough to save you. Why didn't she tell me? The recordings suggest she tried, several times, but the medications they were giving her, they caused confusion, memory loss, paranoia. She'd forget what she wanted to say. She'd lose track of conversations. And Melissa was always there, monitoring everything. I thought about Patricia's last months, the way she'd sometimes look at me with desperate eyes, trying to communicate something she couldn't put into words. The times she'd start sentences and trail off, frustrated, confused. I thought it was the illness. It was the poison. 6 months later, I sat in a courtroom watching my daughter receive her sentence. Melissa Thornton, guilty of first-degree murder in the death of Patricia Thornton. Guilty of conspiracy to commit murder. Guilty of elder abuse. Guilty of financial fraud. Guilty of attempted murder. Life without the possibility of parole. Derek received 45 years. Victor Crane, whose involvement in Patricia's death was proven through the medication records and recorded conversations, received life. Melissa's lawyer had tried for an insanity defense, tried to paint her as a victim of her manipulative husband, but the evidence was overwhelming. The planning had begun years before Derek was even in the picture. Melissa had been the architect. Derek was just the contractor. She didn't look at me as they led her away. Not once. I sold the ranch house in Austin. Too many memories, too many ghosts. Samuel helped me find a place in Houston, a small condo near his home. We're rebuilding our relationship slowly. The 2 years of silence between us weigh heavily, but we're trying. The offshore money, the stolen investments, most of it was recovered. I donated it all to elder abuse prevention programs, to organizations that help families recognize the signs of financial exploitation, to medical research. I kept Patricia's letter, her journal. Her tapes are in evidence now, but someday they'll be returned to me. I'm not sure I'll ever be able to listen to them. Hearing her voice, knowing what she was going through while I remained oblivious, that might be more than I can bear. But I know she'd want me to keep living. To find peace, to forgive. Forgiveness. That's the hardest part. My brother asks me sometimes if I'll ever be able to forgive Melissa, if I'll visit her in prison, if I'll respond to the letters she sends every week, letters full of apologies and explanations and pleas for understanding. I don't know. Some betrayals cut too deep. Some trust, once broken, can never be repaired. But I think about Patricia, about how she must have felt in those final months, knowing her own daughter was slowly killing her, unable to prove it, unable to stop it. She could have died in bitterness. Instead, she spent her last strength gathering evidence to protect me. She forgave Melissa. I found it in her journal. I forgive our daughter for what she's done to me, but I cannot forgive what she plans to do to you. So I fight. If Patricia could find forgiveness while dying at her daughter's hands, maybe someday I can too. The phone rings every Sunday at 9 a.m. now. But it's Samuel calling, not Melissa. Checking in. Making sure I'm okay. Making sure I'm not alone. I'm not alone anymore. I have my brother. I have new friends in Houston. I have the memory of a wife who loved me enough to fight for me even from her deathbed. And I have a story. A warning for anyone who thinks it can't happen to them. Look closely at the people who care for you. The ones who bring you food and medication. The ones who ask about your will. The ones who come every week to clean but never quite clean anything. Trust is precious. Don't give it blindly, even to family. My daughter came to clean my house every Sunday for 18 months. She straightened my closets, organized my drawers, and asked about my will. But she was never there to help me. She was there to bury me. If this story touched your heart, please subscribe to our channel and share it with someone you love, because sometimes the people we trust most are the ones we need to watch most carefully. And sometimes the greatest gift we can give each other is simply paying attention. What would you do if you discovered your family was planning your death? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and remember, it's never too late to start asking questions.